Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Today is Wednesday, July 21st, 2021, and I'd like to call to order the City Council presentation ceremony for this evening and turn the program over to Councilwoman Jennifer Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to present for Councilman Shelley, our artist in the spotlight this month, Mrs. Mildred Mimi Meyerson. Mrs. Meyerson has been an art teacher for over 30 years that is incredibly passionate about art. So she has one of her works here for us to see. She is also featured at the Seminole Theater through October. If you have not been to the Seminole Theater to see their artists in the spotlight, it is a wonderful opportunity to see wonderful local artists. So Ms. Meyerson, would you like to say a few things?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. I would like to thank the City of Homestead, the council, and the mayor for promoting the arts in Homestead, especially the spotlight of the artists. Okay? In addition, I would like to thank Michelle and Corinne Lowe, who have helped me with this art show. My name is Mimi Meyerson, and my artwork is now on display at the Seminole Theater. I am primarily a painter and taught art in Dade County schools 35 years and retired. I have one daughter, Anita Marks, who broadcasts football on ESPN. Maybe you've seen her. Her show is called Daily Wager, and she does sports for ESPN in Connecticut. I attended the University of Miami. Go Canes. Any Canes here? Okay. I went to University of Miami, and I majored in art education. While waiting to get a new hip, which I'm supposed to get soon, I hope, I stayed home and I did a lot of painting and I did a lot of artwork. This is one of my paintings up here, which is BISCAYNE National Park, and I did the green turtle. I had a couple of paintings there last year and the year before, and I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to do the green turtle. In addition, I have a fondness for animals and nature. My special interest is painting fantasy. I love painting fantasy. Some of my subject matter at the Seminole Theater is animals. I have elephants, giraffes, birds, plants, dragons, and a variety of different things. Please visit the Seminole Theater and see my vivid artwork. And also, I would like to thank you again for promoting the arts. And I was hoping that maybe in Homestead, we could have an art gallery and have the local artists participate, like maybe change it around every month. That would be great if we could promote, the art clubs. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you for sharing that beautiful green turtle with us. And as a reminder to everyone, Seminole Theater, all of her work is available through August 12th. Oh, August 12th is the gallery night. Sorry, Thursday, August 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. Thanks again.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bailey. And Ms. Meyerson, thank you for your commitment to the arts in schools for all of these years. We appreciate that and look forward to you seeing your exhibit. Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. All right, we're going to adjourn this presentation meeting, and we will reconvene the council meeting at 6 o'clock in just a few minutes. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Today is Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. This is the City of Homestead City Council meeting, and it is now 6:01 p.m. Please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And for the very last time, I'm going to read the COVID statement into the record. The city will hold a hybrid council meeting. The public may participate in person at City Hall or virtually utilizing video conference via WebEx events or the toll-free conference call number. Please go to cityofhomestead.com/calendar for specific details and instructions on participation utilizing video and telephonic conferencing. The meeting can also be viewed live on the City Access channel or city website at cityofhomestead.com. Public comments can be made in person at the meeting or emailed to publiccomments@cityofhomestead.com. Written public comments are limited to 300 words per comment. Those comments on specific agenda items should include your name, address, and the item you would like to comment on, followed by your comment. And these may be submitted by noon on Tuesday, July 20th, 2021, and will be included in the minutes. Written public comments on general matters should also include your name, address, and your comment, and can be submitted up until 30 minutes after the end of the council meeting and will be included in the minutes. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Fletcher,
Here.
Councilwoman Avila,
Here.
Councilman Roth, Councilwoman Bailey, Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers,
Present.
Mayor Losner.
Here. Thank you. Madam Manager, are there any additions, deletions, or deferrals?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's one deletion and two additions. The deletion is under the mayor's business, which is the appointment to the Community Relations Board. The first addition is the addendum, which has been added to your agenda, which is a resolution for a claim settlement. And the second addition is to the mayor's business to discuss as part of public comments in response to an FDOT public hearing held yesterday, a letter of opposition to FDOT's Turnpike Overpass project.
Thank you, and we need to have a motion to approve the add-on agenda items. Moved by Councilman Ross, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, next item, tab 1, consent agenda. Those items, tabs 2 through 11. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Move approval. Moved by Councilman Fletcher, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any further questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next item, agenda item 5, public hearings, ordinances, land use items, etc. Mr. White?
Yes, Mayor. Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization, and further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591 Any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning items on the quasi-judicial agenda.
Thank you. Councilman Fletcher?
No ex parte, but I will be recusing myself from tabs number 12 and 13. I'm sorry? And 16. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had conversations with council for tabs 12, 13, and 16.
Thank you. Councilman Roth?
The same. Thank you.
Councilwoman Bailey?
The same for me as well.
Councilwoman?
Same here, Mayor.
And as for myself, also, same item, tabs 12, 13, and 16. Is Mr. Shelley online? No, okay. All right, Mr. White?
So at this time, I'd ask the clerk to swear in any persons who wish to testify on the any quasi-judicial item this evening.
Could you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God? You may be seated. Thank you.
So, Mayor, before we get to tabs 12 and 13, we need to consider tab 16, which is the legislative item, which is the second reading of a proposed Homestead Park of Commerce Master Plan. I could introduce that item as well as the two quasi-judicial items. You could collectively discuss, have a presentation, public hearing, and then separately vote in the order of the second reading of the ordinance first, followed by the site plan and the T-plat.
Let's proceed in that manner. Thank you.
So tab 16 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the master development plan for the Homestead Park of Commerce located within the villages of Homestead Development of Regional Impact, requested by Pivotal Utility Holdings, Inc., to modify the permitted land uses to permit public facilities that provide a regulated utility service, providing for conflicts, severability, and providing for an effective date. Second and final reading. Tab 12 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval requested by Pivotal Utility Holdings, Inc. for the development of a liquefied natural gas facility on an approximately 11.53 acre parcel of land, generally located at the intersection of Alex Muxo Boulevard and Southwest 142nd Avenue within the Homestead Park of Commerce, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. And tab 13 is the corresponding tentative plat application. It's a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting tentative RE-PLAT approval requested by Pivotal Utility Holdings, Inc. for the development of a liquefied natural gas facility on an approximately 11.53 acre parcel of land, generally located at the intersection of Alex Muxo Boulevard and Southwest 142nd Avenue within the Homestead Park of Commerce, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, are you going to be doing the consolidated staff report tonight?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The applicant, Pivotal Utility Holdings, or F&G, has requested a modification to the previously approved master development plan for the Homestead Park of Commerce, adopted July 25th, 2008. The proposed text amendment modifies the permitted land uses listed in the HPOC master plan to include public facilities that provide a regulated utility service as a permitted use limited to an approximately 11.53 acre parcel of land. Pivotal Utility Holdings proposes to develop a liquid natural gas facility on the property. The letter of intent states that the purpose of this facility is to receive and store LNG on-site convert it to a vaporized natural gas and then inject it into a new extension of the Florida City Gas natural gas distribution main at times of peak flows during times of emergency and or to handle future growth demands. The Homestead Park of Commerce Master Development Plan does not envision the proposed regulated utility service as a specific permitted use. Rather, the Master Development Plan envisions the approximately 11.53 acre parcel to be suitable for warehouse development and other light industrial uses and operations needed for their success. The master plan was intended to provide for a standard of high-quality architecture and urban design within the HPOC and its relationship with the surrounding areas, which include expanding industrial facilities, residential areas, educational facilities, water retention areas, and potential economic development opportunities for the remaining acres within the Homestead Park of Commerce. The requested text amendment to the Homestead Park of Commerce must be analyzed and reviewed for compatibility with existing and planned uses approved within the HPOC, and also reviewed in context as the purpose and legislative intent in adopting and recording certain declarations and restrictions running with the land in form of unified master development plan to ensure the uniform and consistent design, architecture, and use compatibility with the future development within the Homestead Park of Commerce. The master plan sets forth regulations and architectural and guidance for development within the HPOC and envisions that the entire area as a light manufacturing, light assembly, office, and distribution center with small commercial component at the foot of the lake. The purpose of the master plan is to describe the standard of high-quality architecture and urban design within the Park of Commerce and its relationship to the surrounding areas. The master plan is intended to provide an overview of the future development and its impact to the community. Specifically, the master plan states, because the plan was to be implemented over a period of time, there was less emphasis on individual building requirements, but more attention paid to the location and scale of building masses, their relationship to a coordinated landscaping plan, and the creation of a friendly, high-quality, marketable environment. The master plan is principally organized around 3 distinctive areas located within the Park of Commerce. It's comprised of the Lake District, East End, and West End. The Lake District is primarily assigned and designated as a commercial center with public amenities around the lake. Both East and West End are primarily assigned and designated for warehouses and other light industrial uses. The master plan references the need for setting buildings back far enough to provide an emphasis of the curvilinear aspect of the Commerce Drive and to provide visibility to the lake. The plan as proposed is inconsistent with the document that's regulating the Park of Commerce, and as such, staff recommends denial of the proposed text amendment to the Homestead Park of Commerce Master Development Plan. The site plan proposes approximately 5680 square foot facility for the liquefied nitrogen gas facility on approximately 11.53 acre parcel. Again, all of the development standards are inconsistent with the master plan, and as such, the site plan and the tentative plat do not conform to the master plan. Staff recommends denial of both the site plan and the tentative plat for all the reasons identified during the presentation of the master plan.
Thank you. All right, we'll open the public hearing, and if there are no initial questions or comments from council, I'd like the applicant or applicant's representative to come forward.
Thank you for having us here again this evening. Similar in structure to last month, we have a pre-recorded presentation we'd like to share with you. And at the conclusion of that, I'd be happy to come up and answer any questions you might have. Last month we talked quite a bit about safety and the site and the project, and there were a lot of questions about economic development and economic benefits, and you'll see that's been the focus of our presentation this evening.
All right, before you go, please give us your name and address for the record.
Oh, sure. Bill Munt, Director of Development representing Florida City Gas. My address is 573 Cocoa Plum Drive East, Jupiter, Florida. Thank you. All right, do we have the presentation? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. Vanessa Madrid with the offices of Holland & Knight, located at 701 Brickell Avenue. I am here representing the applicant, Pivotal Utility Holdings, doing business as Florida City Gas. And I'm joined by my colleague, Joseph Goldstein, also Alex David from Colvin Giordano and Associates, and the team of representatives from Florida City Gas, as well as our experts, Ms. Beth Pla, Dr. Rick Harper, and Mr. Steve Cocobani. Before I continue, I would like to reserve a few minutes for rebuttal. So, as you know, there are 3 companion applications before you today. Tonight is the second reading of the modification to the PUD Master Development Plan, and you'll also be considering the site plan and tentative plat applications. We heard you loud and clear at the last meeting and have focused tonight's presentation on the economic benefits of the proposed facility. We're confident that by the end of this presentation, you'll be able to appreciate the overall compelling benefit to businesses and residents across the city of Homestead resulting from this proposed facility. As I said last month, this facility will bring to the city a resilient and clean fuel source that will result in economic and quality of life benefits for everyone. Not to mention that by taking advantage of a natural gas as a source of American-made fuel for local residents and businesses, we're in essence supporting thousands of American jobs and families. There are 3 key points we want you to focus on as you consider the applications. First, that this project will be constructed in a safe manner and will operate safely. Second, there is significant community support for this project. And lastly, that this facility will enable economic growth for the city of Homestead. As we discussed during our last presentation, the amendment would be restricted to this relatively small 11-acre parcel of land located in a private niche adjacent to a government building and a boat manufacturer. We are presenting a unique opportunity to welcome a reliable, abundant, and clean natural gas fuel source that will benefit the city by being an attractive resource for new businesses. As it relates to the proposed use, the site is strategically located 2 miles southeast of Florida's Turnpike and in close proximity to the company's existing infrastructure, which means feasible interconnectivity to said infrastructure through a distribution main. The proposed LNG facility is complementary to existing power infrastructure in the area and is vital to the support and longevity of a sustainable and reliable power and energy grid, and to support the desired business growth in the area. It is also a vital part of our community's enhanced, sustainable emergency response infrastructure, ensuring the capacity to store enough supply of natural gas to distribute to customers south of the Miami International Airport for more than 2 days. This is critical, especially following emergencies such as hurricanes, which can disrupt many essential services for several days. The proposed use is similar in intent, design, character, and compatibility with the surrounding built and unbuilt environment, as is clear from this rendering juxtaposed against the existing use on the rear. The use is industrial in nature and does not consist of any of the heavy industrial uses as listed under Section 30-336 of the city's code. Approval of the applications will not result in any adverse impacts to the surrounding area or the neighboring properties within the Park of Commerce. Also, as you can see from this artist rendering and the short video to follow, the facility would be developed in accordance with the Homestead Park of Commerce Master Plan and applicable land development regulations, including landscaping, perimeter wall, setbacks, etc. It also promotes several of the green building design policies provided in Objective 12 of the city's comprehensive plan, which provides that the city should encourage and promote green building and land development principles in order to increase long-term sustainable resource management that benefits both the environment and the community. I want to point out that the site contains 2 walls, an interior 15-foot wall and an 8-foot security wall enclosing the property and with vegetation and trees on both sides of that wall. This, together with all design components for this facility, ensures that any and all potential impacts will be retained on site. Overall, the site design is clean and fully concealed by lush landscape that will serve as an attractive buffer around the perimeter of the site. There is no question that the site plan proposes a significant improvement from the property's current condition, and the project will result in a true enhancement to this corner of the Homestead Park of Commerce and surrounding area. As we discussed in detail during our last presentation, LNG has a strong safety record and in many ways is safer than fuels we use every day, like gasoline or propane. Specifically, this facility will comply with all required safety standards and codes, such as the U.S. Department of Transportation, National Fire Protection Association, OSHA, and others. Safety measures are in place to ensure that all impacts remain on site, even in the event of an unlikely spill or fire. This facility is also designed with robust physical and cybersecurity measures to ensure its safe operation. The facility complies with the Homestead Air Force Base Zone Overlay Ordinance, as no infrastructure is planned within the relevant zones. And lastly, Florida City Gas works with local first responders to develop and put in place an incident management plan to ensure coordination between all parties. Florida City Gas prides itself on its safety record and looks forward to the safe construction and operation of this facility. As we mentioned earlier, significant community support exists for this project. More than 110 local businesses have signed on in support of this project. This consists of current natural gas and non-natural gas users, as well as potential natural gas users. Businesses clearly see the overall economic benefit of the access to natural gas enabled by this facility. Many of the largest and most critical businesses to the local economy have signed on in support, such as Homestead Miami Speedway, the Miami-Dade County Water and Sewer Department and Transit Authority, Homestead Hospital, and countless others. Even local businesses located next to our facility have signed on in support, understanding the benefit to the local economy that our facility means. Now that we've established there's a substantial support for these applications, we'd like to focus on the economic development that this facility will support and enable. The following slides will show that there is a strong correlation between natural gas infrastructure and industrial job growth through economic job data as well as several case studies. This facility will save future businesses in the Homestead Park of Commerce more than $2 million by providing gas infrastructure at no cost to them. Florida City Gas will use the additional capacity created by this facility to expand its system to new areas of Homestead, providing much needed access to gas to new and existing customers. Additionally, the project will create $20 million in tax revenue for the city. Florida City Gas and the City of Homestead are aligned in a desire, businesses to the Homestead Park of Commerce, and we would like to further develop our partnership in making that dream a reality. During our prior presentation last month, we discussed economic trend data showing projected economic and job growth for Homestead as a result of building out gas infrastructure. Specifically, we talked about 1,500 new jobs by 2030. Today, we will review both macroeconomic data as well as case studies that continue to support that analysis. Again, there is a strong correlation between gas infrastructure and job density in the industrial sector. Using U.S. Census Bureau data, we performed an analysis of zip codes throughout the United States that have similar LNG facilities to the one we are proposing here today. And these zip codes enjoy a deep penetration of light industrial and manufacturing jobs. As you can see highlighted in this chart, zip codes with LNG facilities see 3 times more jobs in this sector than the states they're a part of. And as evidenced by this data, gas infrastructure is strongly correlated and compatible with the same type of industry that we are all seeking for the Homestead Park of Commerce. Additionally, we performed research on a number of these communities to demonstrate the correlation between robust gas infrastructure and access and economic growth. The first such example is a gas facility built in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area in the mid-1990s. In the years following, county officials developed a 230-acre industrial park, not unlike the Homestead Park of Commerce, understanding that they now had the infrastructure necessary to attract new businesses. There has been such a strong interest in the park already that the county is pouring foundations ahead of future business tenants as the Development Commission Executive Director has drawn a clear correlation between infrastructure. In 2019, the South Carolina Natural Gas Infrastructure Committee was asked to prepare a report examining any links between natural gas access and employment. And not surprisingly, they found a strong correlation between the two and are quoted as saying, a high percentage of individuals are underemployed in areas that may be lacking natural gas infrastructure. Also of note is that the Columbia metro area outlined on the map, now equipped with natural gas access, is one of the only few areas in the state of South Carolina not suffering from underemployment. Our second case study is the Intermountain Gas Facility in the Idaho Falls metropolitan area. This facility went into service in 2006, and within 5 years, Chobani opened a $100 million manufacturing facility employing more than 400 employees. Chobani was granted $150,000 by local economic development interests to help pay for utility upgrades needed, including natural gas connections. They clearly understood the importance of such infrastructure for Chobani, and Chobani has since expanded their facility, employing more than 1,000 workers with a total investment in that community of $750 million. Shortly thereafter, Cliff Bar Co. opened a baking facility. That's another industrial use of natural gas, employing more than 200 workers. In the years following the development of this natural gas facility, Idaho Falls has been nationally recognized as a destination for business growth, and as of January 2020, was leading the nation in job growth. The third case study we examined is in Tucson, Arizona, where Southwest Gas recently commissioned an LNG facility to meet future growth demand. In less than 1 year, Tucson has seen an explosion in business and light industrial expansion. Companies such as DoorDash, Sandvik Materials, PVB Fabrication, and others are all moving to or expanding in Tucson. These 5 examples alone represent 500 new jobs in a variety of industries such as metal manufacturing and fabrication, biotech instrument manufacturing, electronics manufacturing, and metal fabrications. And lastly, we performed a case study a bit closer to home. As I am sure you are aware, New Fortress Energy placed its LNG facility in northwest Miami-Dade County into service in 2016. And almost immediately, Silver Vase Nursery, the second largest orchid grower in North America and employer of 250 plus local residents, partnered with New Fortress to convert both its primary and backup generation sources to natural gas from propane or diesel. In addition to the resiliency this change provided, Silver Vase estimated it saved 40% on fuel costs and reduced its carbon footprint by 27%. Silver Vase is also looking to expand its business, potentially doubling the size of its local operation, and needs the reliability of natural gas to finalize that decision. These case studies are just a few of the many examples where natural gas infrastructure has enabled economic growth. Turning now to what this new natural gas infrastructure would mean to a new business in Homestead, we'd like to draw your attention to the chart and map on this slide. Absent this new LNG facility and distribution main, a new average-sized light industrial business seeking natural gas access would likely incur costs in excess of $2 million to gain access to natural gas today. These costs would pay for a 2+ mile distribution main connecting their new business to the existing Florida City Gas infrastructure to the north of the Homestead Park of Commerce. As we previously mentioned, our proposed LNG facility includes a distribution main that is paid for by Florida City Gas. This new gas main would enable new businesses access to natural gas with no upfront cost to connect. Natural gas consuming businesses likely know where gas is available and choose to locate there. Readily available, no-cost access to critical utility infrastructure would be a key selling point for the Homestead Park of Commerce. In addition to the benefits this facility brings to the Homestead Park of Commerce, it also allows Florida City Gas to execute on its plan to expand gas access to the broader Homestead area. As you can see from the map on this slide, Florida City Gas has plans to invest over $40 million in gas infrastructure over the next 5 years and beyond to expand gas access to the western and southern parts of Homestead, as well as to continue building out new infrastructure in other areas of Homestead to ensure new customers have access to the gas they want and need. In fact, in the 5 weeks since we were last here, we've been contacted by 2 new businesses in Homestead requesting access to natural gas. Florida City Gas needs this facility to ensure it has the necessary capacity to deliver gas to these new and existing customers. Of course, because this is a rate-regulated utility, this projected expansion requires the Florida Public Service Commission approval. Now that we've established the economic and job growth benefits of bringing natural gas to the area, let's turn to the benefits this facility will bring to Homestead through additional tax revenues. It is expected that this facility, consisting of the parcel of land and relevant improvements thereon, will generate more than $1 million in tax revenues in the first year alone, and more than $20 million over the 30-year life of the project. This is $3 million more than we were projecting as of our last discussion, with the benefits from those tax dollars extending to Homestead, local schools, and Miami-Dade County. With your approval today, Florida City Gas could close on the subject property later this year, bringing additional property tax revenue to the city even before our facility is placed into service. Florida City Gas is part of the NextEra Energy family of companies, along with Florida Power and Light. Florida Power and Light is the leader in economic development for the state of Florida. In fact, FPL has generated more leads for new businesses in Florida in the last 5 years than any other organization. Our capabilities are wide-reaching and include joint marketing and trade show attendance, free virtual site tours and marketing support, lead generation and referrals, as well as access to our online tools and resources. Access to these benefits, resources, and tools will enable the City of Homestead to reinvigorate interest in the Homestead Park of Commerce. Florida City Gas is excited to leverage these resources and to partner with the city. Also, Florida City Gas is already a member of this community and would like the opportunity to partner with the City of Homestead to ensure a successful implementation of the vision for the Homestead Park of Commerce. FCG is a member of the South Dade Chamber of Commerce and supports a number of initiatives centered around economic development and growth in the area. Partnering with the city and utilizing our economic development resources, Florida City Gas would like to develop a compelling economic development campaign to bring business to the Homestead Park of Commerce. We are offering to partner with the city to develop a video-based story that includes a virtual tour, 3D renderings, and more to highlight the benefits of the park and showcase what it could become in the future. The cumulative value of the proposed economic development support and resources exceeds $200,000. Florida City Gas and its affiliates are aligned with the City of Homestead's desire to see the Homestead Park of Commerce vision become a reality. The city will enjoy a number of benefits from economic growth that natural gas infrastructure provides, including job creation and tax revenues. New businesses benefit by having access to utilities with little to no upfront cost and being in close proximity to major highways, ports, rail, and other modes of transportation. Florida City Gas is incented to help ensure that economic growth of this area as it looks to continue expanding its service to new and existing customers. To conclude, I want to remind you of a few important factors we'd like you to keep in mind tonight. This project is safe and reliable. There is strong community support for this project, and it will provide reliable natural gas to existing businesses and homes. This facility will generate $20 million in tax revenues, and evidence shows that this type of gas infrastructure enables economic growth. Your approval of this application tonight will allow the vision for the Homestead Park of Commerce to become a reality, and Florida City Gas is excited to partner with the city to make that happen. We thank you for your time and consideration of this important project for Homestead, its businesses, and its residents. Our team of representatives from Florida City Gas and experts are here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Anything further before we open the public hearing?
No, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot of information, so I appreciate your attention. But if there's any questions you have about it, I'd be happy to answer those.
Appreciate it. Any initial questions from council, or would we want to hear from the public first? We'll take public comment first and then possibly come back to you. Thank you. All right. If you wish to speak on this matter, please come forward, and as always, give us your name and address for the record and your comment, and we have you on a 3-minute time clock, so please begin to come forward if you wish to speak either in support or opposition of this application. And if you're comfortable doing so, please feel free to take down your mask. It's easier for us to understand you sometime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthias Bartha. I am representing Silver Vase, as you heard a little bit about earlier today. We are located at 26001 Southwest 217th Avenue in the greater Miami-Dade area, just outside of Homestead. We currently use liquefied natural gas that we store in 2 truck tankers on site because we do not have access to natural gas lines directly from any location. So one of the things that we are hoping for and looking forward to is the connection of this natural gas line from the existing infrastructure over to our facility. And part of how that would be possible is through this facility that would be built to be able to support the needs that we need on a daily basis to run our commercial boilers, to be able to heat our greenhouses to the relevant temperatures, as well as to sustain our generators for emergency backup. Whenever there's a hurricane or other natural emergency, then we have to be able to run 2 weeks without any extra power. As you saw in the presentation tonight, we do currently have a little over 250 employees. We are planning to double our facility and to add the same kind of infrastructure that we already have, and a facility like this would help us maintain that. That is it from my side.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments tonight. Yeah, Vice Mayor.
Sir, I have
Mr.
a quick
Bartha?
question for you. So you indicated you employ 250 employees. I know you're right outside of city limits. Do you have a number of how many of those employees reside within the city of Homestead by chance?
I don't, but the vast majority should. I want to say a small percentage of it lives further north or outside of the Homestead area. Most of our employees are based in Homestead.
And very briefly, can you just talk a little bit about your business and what that entails for the edification of the community or those who are listening online?
Absolutely. I can talk about that all day. So we grow orchids. They are a popular plant that can be bought in any supermarket at this point. We sell to all 20 of the top 20 national grocery chains in North America. So if you go to, for example, Publix, Whole Foods, Aldi, or any of the other major chains, in many cases, as soon as you walk in the door, you will see our orchids on the side. We produce it year-round, and we do ship it through all of North America and a little bit to the Caribbean. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Sorry.
Down.
With this time. Good evening, distinguished members of the council. How are you guys doing? Jodrick Uhake, executive chef, co-owner of Chefs on the Run, right here in downtown Homestead. I was here last month, so I'm here once again because I do believe that this is a project that will be good for Homestead, not only for the residents, but as well as the business. Funny enough, the day after the city meeting, I was paying attention to the news back home in Puerto Rico, as I mentioned it last month as well, and an LNG plant was actually approved for the island of Puerto Rico, which themselves already can stress the fact of how important it is to have reliable sources, especially in an island that gets beaten by hurricanes and for the last year and a half beaten by earthquakes. But once again, I do come over here as a local business. As I was watching the presentation a moment ago, it is a huge perk for me as a business when Florida City came to us and offer utilities that we can consume the product. They came to us, they calibrated the equipment so it will be good to use for natural gas. And like I said before, like I said last month, we have saved collectively over $1,000 yearly just by the use of natural gas that we're using right now. And we are definitely looking forward to the opportunity for every other business to expand, as the map is showing that the access will be greater for the residents. That's you guys as well, and me as I'm in Litchfield City, but my heart and my business is here in downtown Homestead. So that's really all I gotta say. I wish there would be more local businesses that had the opportunity to have the access, or they could have the time to come over here and speak on behalf of this, because this does work. So far, it's been safe, and we have saved money, and it's important. Like I said before, $1,000 might be $10,000 savings at this point with all the losses that we've had. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you open for dine-in yet?
Pardon?
Are you open to dine-in or still only doing takeout?
No, not that room yet. Outdoor seating.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time.
Anyone else wishing to speak on behalf of either for or against this application?
Mayor, we have one online.
Okay, go ahead.
Ramiro Horta.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
All right, perfect. I have a question. The address that's on the actual agenda is Alex Muxo Boulevard and Southwest 142nd Avenue. That's by Keysgate, right? That's behind by near the AYFO Park.
If you visualize it, it is the southeast corner of the Park of Commerce. It's to the north across the street from the stadium complex and to the east.
Okay, so it is near those parks. Okay.
Generally in Keysgate, yes.
Okay. Just a quick question, because currently, since I've been living in Keysgate since 2006, and every so often our homes tend to shake because there's constant fracking back there. With the fracking that's going on in Keysgate, and this project is approved, would the fracking affect it, or would it add on to the existing fracking that we have going on by the Keysgate area?
But I'll defer to, I don't think we have fracking going on. I believe that the shaking is due to the blasting of fill pits that are sometimes outside the city limits. So do we have any information on that, or can the applicant address that, taking the impacts of fill pit blasting into account?
Yeah, and just to clarify, there is no extraction of LNG out of the ground or anything related to our facility, so we would not contribute to anything like that. And I'm not aware of any impacts to our facility from something like that. So I don't see any conflicts there.
Right. And just for the record and for Mr. Horta, the LNG that's stored there will be brought in by tanker truck to be initially filled and kept topped off.
That is correct. That's correct.
Again, there'll be no extraction activities there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horta. Anyone else? All right, last call for Oregon. Mr. White.
Yes, Mayor. Just for the record, there was an email that came in via the public comment avenue for this, for consideration for this item this evening. And that email was submitted by Winston Humphrey on behalf of Tri-Energy Solutions in support of the application. So I just wanted to make reference to that.
Thank you, Mr. White. I have one question for the applicant. You talked all around, is there a commitment to close on this transaction prior to the end of the year so that it is on the tax rolls at the higher basis January 1 of 22?
Yes, with your approval this evening, we plan to close on the property and we will commit to do that before the end of 2021.
Thank you. Very good. Appreciate it. Questions from council? Further questions from council? All right, well then I'll close the public hearing and entertain first for tab 16, the amendment of the covenants for the Homestead Park of Commerce. Is that correct, Mr. White?
Which is the legislative item for your consideration. So just if the item is not approved, the legislative item is not approved, then that will automatically be a no for the site plan and T-plat. It won't be properly before you to be heard. If you say yes to the amendment, then we move on to the site plan and the T-plat.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, Mayor.
I didn't have any questions. I just have a comment. Okay, thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions. I just have a comment. Throughout this period where we were considering moving forward with the liquefied natural gas, the biggest sticking point for me was economic development. In every conversation I had with you all in Baldwin, I mentioned economic development and how will this project strengthen the economic vitality of our community. And through those conversations and with the presentation tonight, I thank you for presenting those case studies to make the case for economic development and the halo effect or catalyst that can have on the city of Homestead. And considering the broad support that you have from the community and a more comfortable understanding for me relative to economic development and what that could potentially bring to the city of Homestead, I'll be supporting that tonight. So thank you for putting in the sweat equity and your due diligence. I know I wasn't easy on you, but you put in the work, and I appreciate that. And I just want to say for the record, I'm supporting it tonight for the reasons that I just articulated.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I'd like to add, my initial concern was far and away the jobs creation issue. Certainly after being through Copart and clearly not creating jobs there on nearly half of the Park of Commerce, my concern was we were whittling away another 11 acres from jobs being created in the Park of Commerce. And I understand that the original vision of the Park of Commerce was manufacturing and heavy commercial on site. And while this does not accomplish that, it, I believe, has not just the potential, but the almost certainty of creating job creation and business development and expansion off-site, which will also be a benefit to my community. And I know that at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, there was lengthy conversations about safety. My concerns were expressed over the course of a couple meetings, and they've come back, and I'm confident that, never say never, but this is not a ticking time bomb sitting out there. So again, thank you for that hard work and follow-up. All right, there's no further comments. Do we have a motion to approve tab 16?
Move it.
We have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Councilman Roth for approval of the amendment contained in tab 16. There's no further discussion. We'll have a roll call vote.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Faircloth Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now let's go back to tab 12, the site plan approval. Do we have a motion for approval? Did we read that by title? Mr. White, did you read that earlier? All right, so we need a motion for approval of tab 12, car number 3261, site plan approval. Moved by Councilman Roth, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth? Councilwoman Bailey?
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Faircloth Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner.
Yes.
The motion carries.
And finally, tab 13, car number 3260, the tentative replat of the parcel. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Roth. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey.
Yes.
Councilman Roth. Yes. Councilwoman Avila. Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers.
Yes.
Mayor Losner.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you all. All right. Next item is tab 14. You want to take 14 and 15 together?
Yes,
Just
Mayor,
like- yes, thank
we
you.
could do that. They are the same applicant, they're adjacent parcels requesting the same, they're both requesting a special exception to permit a single-family home. So I can introduce both, have a collective discussion, public hearing, take a vote separately. Tab 14 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a special exception requested by Jimenez and Associates Enterprises Corp. to permit the development of a single-family dwelling unit on an approximately 0.19 parcel within the R3 zoning district located at 77 Northeast 12th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Tab 15 is resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a special exception requested by Jimenez and Associates Enterprises Corp. to permit the development of a single-family dwelling unit on an approximately 0.19 parcel within the R3 zoning district, generally located north of Northeast 12th Street, east of Northeast Chrome Terrace, south of Northeast 13th Street, west of Northeast 1st Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the proposed resolutions granting a special exception to permit the development of single-family residential dwelling units on the parcels described located at north of Northeast 12th Street, east of Northeast Chrome Terrace, south of Northeast 13th Street, and west of Northeast 1st Avenue. They are lots 3 and 4 in that description. The applicant, Francisco Javier Jimenez, on behalf of Jimenez and Associates, has requested a special exception pursuant to City Code Section 30-2061, permitted uses to permit the development of a single-family dwelling unit on a vacant parcel zoned multiple apartment district. The city code permits that a single-family dwelling unit be permitted on site as long as it's adjacent, in the event that adjacent properties are not zoned R1 or R2. The subject property is zoned multiple apartment district with a future land use designation of medium density residential use. Pursuant to 2.1 of the city's comprehensive plan, the zoning and the land use are consistent with one another. The applications were reviewed against Section 3045 special exception permits, and staff feels that the applicant meets the criteria as established in the code. Staff recommends approval of the proposed special exceptions as they are consistent with Sections 3045 special exception permits, Chapter 30, Article 3, Division 4, one family district, Division 8, multiple apartment district, and the applicable provisions of the city code.
Thank you. Any initial questions for council? Is the applicant or the applicant's representative present? You'd come forward and give us your name and address for the record, and you can speak to both items, both properties.
Good afternoon, Councilman. My name is Javier Jimenez. My address is 29415 Southwest 197th Avenue.
And you are
Javier Jimenez.
right? No, the
Representative.
the representative of the owner. And is there anything you would like to tell us about the two houses you plan to construct?
Well, the area is basically some small duplexes, some single homes. I know it's zoned R3, but the site is a little complicated to accommodate for parking, and we really think it would be better for the urban fabric if we just build two family single homes there. And that's about it.
Well, thank you. And you, I mean, in the last year and a half, we've had several applicants who have elected to do exactly what you are doing. And this has nothing to do with being approved or not. Off the top of your head, how much in fees have you paid to the city to do these two applications?
I want to say maybe 20,000.
$20,000 for the total for these hearings to
Yes.
do this, the
Correct.
rezoning in order to move this forward.
Correct.
And I had an idea and I wanted council to hear that and see a real world example. We're having a lot of discussions about how to make these things happen for good people like you, to make them happen faster, cheaper, and easier. And I wanted to get that on the record, and I appreciate your candor with that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Is there anyone online?
I don't see anyone online, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public hearing. Or any final questions or comments from council? I'll entertain a motion for approval of tab 14. Moved by Councilwoman Avila. Seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Roll call.
Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Councilman Roth? Councilwoman Bailey? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, one down, one to go.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
the next item. Motion for approval? Moved by Councilman Roth. Second by Avila. Councilwoman Avila. Roll call.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilwoman Avila? Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Okay. Next item, tab 16, car number 3193, text amendment to, we did that.
We're skipping to 17.
17. Sorry about that, guys. It's already been a long night. Second reading, car number 3194, budget amendments for the general fund and electric utility fund. Who's got this one? Is this you, Madam Manager?
It is me. It is I, Mr. Mayor. Before I do that, I neglected to mention an additional deletion, which is car number 72, tab 24. Do you need to vote on that?
24.
Okay. Yes. If I can, a motion to approve the deletion.
Motion to approve the deferral. Yeah. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all. All right, on to 17, Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Park Fund.
On June 16th, 2021, Council approved CAR 3180 for the issuance of a note to FMPA in an amount not to exceed $8,700,000 for the purpose of financing a new substation, a portion of the cost to underground utility lines, and to refinance the Series 2019 bond. Council also approved CAR 3159 for the issuance of capital improvements notes in an amount not to exceed $8,090,000 for the purpose of refinancing a portion of the cost of construction of the new City Hall. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the attached ordinance to amend the adopted budgets of the General Fund by $8,090,000 and the Electric Utility Fund by $8,700,000 to account for the proceeds of the debt and to appropriate the use of these funds. This item was approved on first reading on June 16th, 2021.
All right. Thank you. Any questions from council? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this matter? Anyone online?
I say none, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, may I just read the title into the record, please? This is an ordinance for second reading. It's an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budget for the General Fund and the Electric Utility Fund for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021 by increasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $16,790,000, providing for severability and an effective date.
All right. Thank you. Motion to approve. Moved by Councilman Fletcher. Seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Roll call.
Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Councilman Roth? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers,
Yes.
Mayor Losner,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Before we go to the next tab, to our last applicant, you're done for tonight. You-
Yeah, that's the end.
Yeah. Thank you. We're not, you are. All right, tab 18, Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On May 21st, 2021, the Procurement and Contract Services Division issued ITB 202125 Biscayne Everglades Greenway Trail Construction for the construction of the 3.2-mile trail from Southwest 137 Avenue to Maui Drive along the C-103 Canal. Notices were sent to 613 vendors and 13 responses were received. After thorough review, Florida Engineering and Development Corp. was found to be the most responsible bidder. Staff recommends that the mayor and council authorize the city manager to award ITB 202125 Biscayne Everglades Greenway Trail Construction to Florida Engineering and Development Corp. for the amount of $1,419,500 for the construction of the trail. The project is part of the city's capital improvement plan, CIP 2023 and 0339, and is funded by a $1,843,910 Florida Department of Transportation Sun Trail grant. Staff also recommends that the council approve the use of the remaining balance of $424,410 from the grant as contingency for any unforeseen conditions or changes required during permitting. This will not grant any entitlement to the contractor, but will simply enable the city manager to process change orders, if any, without incurring any delays.
Thank you. Questions from council? All right. Is there anyone here or online wishing to speak on this matter?
I don't see anybody online, Mr. Mayor.
I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Councilwoman Bailey, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. Further questions or comments from council? It's been in the works since I was here last time, over 12 years ago. Yeah, we talked, Ms. Waldman was heading that up at the time. It goes way back to the early 2000s, so it's nice and aggravating to see it moving forward, but why did it take so long? All right, so we had a motion and a second for approval. Roll call.
Councilwoman Bailey, Councilwoman Avila, yes. Councilman Roth, Councilman Fletcher,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers,
Yes.
Mayor Losner,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is tab 19, car number 3262, adoption of the proposed operating millage rate and debt millage rate for fiscal year 2022. Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pursuant to the discussion during the council budget workshop on July 13, 2021, staff recommends that the mayor and council adopt the attached resolution providing a proposed operating millage rate of 7.75 per $1,000 of assessed value of ad valorem taxation for real and personal property within the city of Homestead. This reflects an increase of 1.5445 mils from last year's operating millage of 6.2055 mils and is to be implemented beginning on October 1st, 2021 and ending on September 30th, 2022, fiscal year 2022, and a proposed voted debt millage of 0.4150 per $1,000 of assessed value of ad valorem taxation for real and personal property within the city of Homestead. This millage reflects a 0.0335 reduction from last year's debt millage rate of 0.4485 mils and is to be implemented beginning on October 1st, 2021 and ending on September 30th, 2022. The budget impact at a gross taxable value of $3,748,723,858 and operating millage of 7.75 mils will yield ad valorem revenue at 95% for the city of $27,599,979, which includes $3,063,562 for the Community Redevelopment Agency, at a gross taxable value of $3,748,723,858, a debt millage rate of 0.4150 mils will yield revenue at 95% for the debt service of $1,477,934. And I would just like to remind the council that you're not setting the millage here. This This would be what would go out on the trim notice, but you do not set the final millage until the final budget hearings. Section 200.081 Florida statutes limits the maximum operating millage rate that municipalities may levy to 10 mills. Tentative first budget hearing date, Monday, September 13, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. Tentative final budget hearing date, Wednesday, September 29, 2021 at 5:01 p.m.
Thank you. Mr. Pearl.
Yes, tab 19 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, establishing a proposed operating millage rate of ad valorem taxation, establishing a proposed millage rate for the debt service of the general obligation bonds for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022, and providing for an effective date.
Council? Questions, comments? Councilman Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the record, we did have this discussion last week at a workshop, and you know, to the general public, there was a lot of numbers read out in that resolution that may not mean a whole lot of sense to everyone. So if we could ask just a little clarification for the increase amount from last year to this year on the current suggested 7.75 would be approximately how many dollars per thousand?
My apologies. Could you repeat the last question? I could barely hear it over there.
Yeah, basically, I'm sorry, sometimes these mics don't pick everything up either. So basically, we're looking for the difference between what tax dollars folks paid this year, and if we continued with the suggested rate of 7.75 per thousand, what would that impact be to your annual, to your general homeowner in the city of Homestead, dollar-wise? The increase would be how many tenths per thousand?
Okay. For the homeowners, on the millage rate, it's 1.3859. So assuming all of this was approved for an average, say for $100,000 value of a home, the increase would be $138.59. Assuming the value was $124,737, which happens to be the non-homesteaded average taxable value of a house in Homestead, residential property in Homestead, that would be $172.87 of an impact.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear that, again, it is an increase if we were to move forward with this. Not that that's going to be the final number, but the impacts that are provided through that will support city services, the addition of several departments and personnel as well. And, you know, we look forward to having this discussion further as we move forward in the budget hearing process. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Fletcher. Anything further from council? All right, is there anyone here in the auditorium or online wishing to speak on this matter?
Well, Mr. Orter still has the hand up, so I don't know if he wants to make a comment.
Check in and see if he wishes to speak, or it was just an omission. Mr. Orta?
I didn't want to speak, but now I do. Quick question. Is there any reason why we're implementing this increase? What department or what budget for this increase? The supplement?
I'm going to ask either finance or the manager, at the workshop that was kind of laid out, and let them give you just a very general overview of what that proposed increase would cover in terms of new personnel or added services.
Yes, of course, Mayor. During the workshop where we talked about a number of increases in personnel and/or services in the respective general fund departments and a corresponding millage. For example, if X number of police officers were hired, how much that would cost and what a corresponding millage what it would amount to. And there were also suggested personnel in other general fund departments.
Mr. Order, I think it's, really across the board. Parks and Rec, General Services, certainly in the police department. It's not really targeted, but a blanket increase in people that management feels we need to provide, maintain the level of services that we have, and perhaps, enhance them just a little bit, just to keep up. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, so then we need a motion to adopt the tentative rate set forth in tab 19 at, was it 7.75? We have them moved by Councilman Roth, seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Anything further from council? I just want to say I'm going to be consistent and vote against it, but I'm not voting against our people on the streets. I'm voting for a deeper, harder look at how we can become more efficient before we pass any cost along to the public. And again, I think we all want to remind the public, this is tentative, and it would be and I hate to say it this way, the worst case scenario. Your final tax rate will be no higher than the rate adopted tonight. And it may very well be lower, but it certainly will be no higher. All right, so let's have a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilwoman Avila? Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Councilman Roth? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
No.
The motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Next item, tab 20, car number 3164, CDBG Annual Action Plan for fiscal year 2021-2022. Madam Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In order to receive CDBG funds each year, the City of Homestead is required by HUD to provide an annual action plan that describes the activities that will be undertaken during the funding year. The action plan must be submitted electronically to the HUD Miami Field Office by August 15, 2021. Tonight, we are requesting approval form for the council to submit our CDBG action plan to HUD. The total amount is $769,583. The proposed action plan provides $182,000 for three projects, $115,438 for continuation of the STEM education program, $224,000 for the debt service payment of the Section 108 loan, and $148,145 for administrative costs, plus $100,000 to fund a first-time home buyers assistance program. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution adopting and authorizing the submission of the fiscal year 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Action Plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for approval and establishing a budget.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, adopting and authorizing the submission of the fiscal year 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for approval, establishing a budget for Community Development Block Grant funds, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl. Any initial questions or comments from council? Okay. Anyone in the auditorium or online wishing to speak on this matter? None appearing. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion for approval. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Roll call, please.
Councilman Roth? Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, tab 21 for discussion and action, car number 3364, Charter Review Committee recommendations. Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we had this discussion at the COW. We walked through each of the questions. There were two recommended amendments to what had been originally proposed. One was the removal of a proposed amendment to our election schedule, and so this resolution reflects that removal. And the second dealt with an amendment to one of the proposals about how years of service should be calculated. towards your term limits. The original proposal was that had you served any portion of your term, you would have been deemed to have served the entirety of your term for the purposes of term limits. And based on the council's direction, I have amended that so that if you have served more than half of the days of your term, you will have been deemed to have served the entirety of your term, which I think addresses the concerns about the break in service, but also addresses the underlying issue of dissuading somebody from a last-minute resignation in order to try to create a break in service. So those are the two changes that I've made. I can address, I can direct you to the question and the text of the amendment with respect to the term limits. But I wanted to, in addition, call your attention to, after the meeting, and going through this, you can't touch one thing without touching others. It's just the way that it works. And in my review, I noticed that the proposed amendment to the mayoral term to 4 years would have impacted the provisions dealing with the ascension of the vice mayor to the mayor's position. As currently prepared, or as it currently exists, inherent in that is that you will have a change every 2 years, and you will always have a vice mayor who is not on the cycle with the mayor. A change to a 4-year term could come up with a situation where you have a vice mayor who ascends to the position of mayor, the mayor's position expires, and then that vice mayor has term, or it may be that that vice mayor is on the same term as the mayor, and so their terms would expire at the same time. So in order to address that, what I have proposed is an amendment to that section that says that in the event of the vacancy in the office of the vice mayor, in the event of a vacancy in the office of the mayor, the vice mayor shall serve as the interim mayor for the remainder of the mayoral term of office. If the vice mayor has time remaining in their council seat, then the same provision that is in place now would apply, where they could return to serve out the remainder of time on their council seat, or if they elected to, they could elect to resign and run for mayor at that time. But I had to provide for that if there's time remaining, because it was inherent in it before was there would be, and now that it's possible that it might change, I had to provide that sort of catch-all. If there's time remaining, then that is what will happen, and if not, then the terms expire concurrently, then it would just be filled at the next election.
Mr. Sproul, I had one other question, and it kind of dovetails with we came into the last meeting not really knowing what would go forward and what wouldn't.
Yes.
And the implementing language and the intent of the committee was that if the even year election cycle was either not put on the ballot or did not prevail at the ballot, then the 4-year mayoral term would commence with the election of 23, which
Correct.
is where we are now, because the even year proposition did not go forward.
Correct.
I'd like to suggest that it would be, I think, appropriate to reflect in that question so that the voters clearly know that the 4-year term does not commence with that moment, that it commences 2 years in the future in 2023. So, so an amendment to that ballot question language to reflect the effective date of that. I see a lot of heads shaking in the affirmative.
And that's fine. It's a very simple modification to make. I would amend question 1 to say, shall the charter be amended to provide that the mayor be elected to serve a 4-year term of office commencing in 2023 and include applicable transition provisions. And so if I can get a consensus on that, then I would incorporate that amendment into the proposed
no objection
question.
From council?
No, I still,
Yeah, thank you.
sure.
Thank you, Mayor. The four-year term for mayor still concerns me because of the lopsided elections. You'll have 4 members of this body running at one election, and then you'll have 3 members of this body running at another election. And I don't understand the reasoning of having the lopsided elections and no attraction for a mayor's race when 3 seats would be running. So I just don't understand that process. I understand wanting to extend the term. I just don't understand how we balance the election cycles. One election cycle will have a mayor's race, which is a lot more attractive. One election cycle won't have a mayor's race, and if we're worried about election turnout and excitement and engagement with the community, we don't have that every 2 years because we don't have a mayor running for a position. So I don't know where we go with that. If there's more discussion on the unbalanced elections, if nobody up here minds it, that's fine. But I think we need to look at that so that we understand that in the future, every 4 years, there's going to be 4 people running. And then the subsequent 2 years after that, there's only 3 people running for election. So there's a very big imbalance when it comes to the voter turnout, excitement about the election, information being put out by the election. I just have concerns about the imbalance of the election. Thank you, Mayor.
And that did not escape notice and extensive discussion of the committee. I mean, the 4-year proposal did not come here without addressing that. I mean, and arguments can be made in both directions. The committee, and again, I did not have a vote on the committee. The committee thought that it was important that, in recognition of that imbalance, that the mayor's term be on par with council members. That the last time this was on the ballot, and my son told me I misspoke, that the last time it was on the ballot was in 2008, not 2010, when it was defeated. We were a much different community then, but again, this is back before us for further and final consideration tonight as to whether or not each and every one of these questions will go on the ballot. So I know that clearly Councilwoman Avila and Councilman Roth, you were opposed to implementing a mayoral 4-year term. I don't know if that's changed with anyone else.
So,
Mayor, I'd like
I'm
to
sorry.
add. Thank you. I'm with Councilman Roth on this as well. My understanding is that the mayor's seat is an additional seat to our districts. It represents us as a whole. And if you're voting in 3 members of council every 2 years, then you're not able to add a mayor or keep a mayor, have that choice to represent your council as a whole. At the same time, as he mentioned, it's unbalanced. And I think it's a little unfair that you have an additional person from a certain area of our city that's representing as a whole, supposedly, but you are there for an additional 4 years, and you could be coming from you're coming from a district at the end of the day. So having that change every 2 years, it balances it out, and that's something that I don't think that the voters recognize and understand, that it's not representing a district, it's representing the city as a whole, and having that change or losing that ability to shape your council every 2 years is a benefit, and they'll be losing that benefit if we go to a 4-year race. So, thank you.
Thank you, and I would remind us that even though that council members are voted from geographical districts, we're all charged with representing the entire community, the whole community, and you use the word whole, just as the mayor is. Thank you. Councilman Fletcher?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I I kind of tend to agree with the changing this to a 4-year cycle. I believe that the citizens of Homestead are going to do their homework and vote somebody in that's going to represent their best interest for that period of time. And, you know, there's always other options throughout the tenure of the individual's service here on council that can happen. I believe it's up to us each individually to create the excitement in our own races. And we each come here with a different point of view to help move the city along as a whole. So again, I think it should be given to the residents for them to make the determination, not by a body of personnel trying to make their own tenures serviceable. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Councilman Fletcher. Vice Mayor, anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. There's arguments to be had on both sides of this, and I completely understand not wanting to move forward with the 4-year term and maintaining the 2-year. Is the 4-year term something that I would vote for? Probably not. But I just feel that the voters should decide. Let them decide how they want this to play out. I'm not sure, was it 2008? I thought it was later than that.
It was midterm during Mayor Bell's tenure when, the 4-year term has been discussed prior to that, but it is my recollection it was last done midterm during Mayor Bell's tenure in 08.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought it was later than
It
that.
did come before the Bateman Council for consideration, but did not go forward.
That's what I remember.
I think Ms. Councilwoman or maybe Vice Mayor Waldman at that time chaired the committee, and I think it died at the table at that point, probably 2010, 11, somewhere in there, early in the Bateman years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's murky when we've been at it for so long.
Yeah, I just think, I know when it was on the ballot last time, I don't think the voters passed it. But I just feel as if this is something that our larger constituency wants to move forward with or not, I think they should decide. But will I vote for it? Probably not. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilwoman Bailey?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree. I think that there are definite pros and cons to both. So with some of the other items, I felt a lot stronger to be a yay or nay, but this one I would like to see go to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pearl, so we're voting on adopting the resolution as amended with the clarification of the implementation date for the 4-year term. Is that correct?
Yes, unless we want to go through the exercise of going question by question again, but I think we've done that once.
I heard some no's up here.
Yeah, so then I would take a motion to approve the resolution as amended, including the proposed amendment tonight to the mayoral question to reflect the charter, the language specifying that your charter shall be amended to provide that the mayor be elected to serve a 4-year term of office commencing in 2023 and include all provisions. And I'll make sure that the final resolution and questions reflect that change.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I will move that, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Councilman Fletcher. Do we have a second? Thank you. Seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Is there anyone online or in the auditorium, in the audience? All right. There's nothing further from council then. I'll ask for a roll call vote on the resolution.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Roth? Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. And again, I want to publicly compliment and thank the committee. I know that Mr. Craig sent his regrets that he could not be here tonight to cheer these on. But again, to each and we'll bring them forward later. All right. We're now at the public comments section of the evening, and I have a sign-in sheet from, is it from John Arguello? Are you present? Come on down. Yes. Okay, I don't. Where's that? All right, I'm sorry. Wait, we have an addendum to the agenda. So that's going to be tab 22. Is that you, Madam Mayor, or Mr. Earl?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the settlement of all claims by Danielle Camargo and Lucie Cunningham, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date. This deals with the settlement of 2 accidents. The background information: on July 26, 2018, Danielle Camargo and Lucie Cunningham were involved in a motor vehicle accident with the City of Homestead garbage truck. Ms. Camargo and Ms. Cunningham have alleged that they were injured and incurred medical expenses as a result of the accident. The city desires to avoid litigation, is recommending settlement for a total amount of $248,900. The city has spent approximately $80,000 of its $100,000 in self-insured retention for this claim. The city has been requested by the insurance company to settle the claim for $248,900. Therefore, the balance of the settlement is being paid by the city's insurance carrier, Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust.
Thank you. All right, any initial questions or comments from council? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? We'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask for a motion.
We have
for
one
approval.
online, actually. Sorry. We have one online. Mr. Orta?
Actually, I raised my hand for public comments, but then you guys added this one. Sorry.
Moved by Councilwoman Bailey, seconded by Councilman Fletcher. Roll call?
Councilman Ross? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. All right, now we're in public comments. Mr. Arguello, did you sign in to make a general comment? John Arguello? Sign-in sheet? John? All right, maybe, do we have anyone else online? All right,
Yes.
there.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Good evening once more. My name is Jodro Guhake, with Chefs on the Run, 10 East Maury Drive, downtown Homestead, 33030. The reason why I'm here is really more of a business aspect. Chefs on the Run, as many of you guys know, thank you for your support throughout the years. We've been at our address for about 10 years now. Since the pandemic, we actually had to close our front doors due to obviously to the pandemic, and we are probably one of the few businesses we're still, quote unquote, resisting to open our dining room doors. So I was waiting for public comments to actually expand the conversation when it comes to this. The personal reasons, we decided not to open our dining room. However, we are endeavoring with our patio area. And the reason why we're here is because since the beginning of the year, I took it upon myself to try to figure out who is responsible for the space that is parallel to the alley or parking lot that it's right parallel to Chefs on the Run. For 10 years, I have avoided using the patio area because I've been wondering who is responsible for the maintenance of this aspect. Now, while we are looking forward to passing the hurricane season and actually doing an outdoor patio seating to accommodate more guests, to do everything that we want to do, since we are the jewel of Homestead when it comes to food and we have been a beacon for tourism for Homestead, we definitely want to accommodate our locals and also our guests that come to travel. Our issue is that there is no, I understand that the garbage trucks, the garbage where we are, Miami-Dade County took a piece of and fenced it up, and that has not been maintained since they took over and the pandemic, so it looks abandoned. You know, right across the street from a brand new development, the Showbiz. I know they put a lot of money to come to the city and highlight us and expand the look of our city. It looks abandoned. It looks really, really bad. And not only is about the maintenance, it's also my business through the last 10 years. Actually, when Council Member Shelley was a mayor, briefly, he actually came to visit us and my restaurant flooded. And that's happened at least 15 times throughout the span of 10 years. Our surroundings are lacking storm drains. And I took it upon myself this year to find these questions. It is July, and I still have no questions answered when it comes to that. We want to grow, we want to expand, we want to put by code, approved, everything to accommodate to our guests and outdoor patio, but we seem to be hitting a roadblock because we have no concrete answer into who is responsible for the alley, who can maintain it, can Miami-Dade, and Can Miami-Dade clean up the aspect of the area? But the biggest one is that while I can put umbrellas for the brief moment, I can put a ceiling and I can put a roof or something that's going to tent the area to be proper. Nobody is going to eat while their feet are covered in water because, like I said, it takes a lot of water for us to flood. If you ever have a chance to go by, there's 3 different levels when it comes to my space. Oh, sorry. I apologize. So that's pretty much why I'm here, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
And if we have somebody, is the overgrowth and the lack of maintenance on your side of the fence or over into the busway side?
It continues where the alley, where the garbage ends. It continues across the street directly facing the Showbiz Cinema. So it's not on the busway. It's parallel in the same space. I understand that was taken there for supplies when the transportation hub was going to happen. And I understand that all that came to a screeching halt once the pandemic happened. But actually, former council member Guzman was a council member by that point, and he actually, at that time, he surveyed the area. And then it ended, the attention for that ended, and we just have been focusing with the worker shortage and everything. We have not been able to do so, and we want to expand, we want to grow. We know that we can't do it to the buildings aside to us, and nor we don't want to leave downtown Homestead. Our option is outdoor dining, and we can't proceed with any plans if there's no storm drains there. I don't even understand how can not there be any storm drains for the ever since that building is there. So it was poorly engineered at the beginning of whenever that was. But now we are not being able to accommodate people or do more because it floods. I mean, it's a lake. Anytime you see tadpoles create, it looks really, really, really bad. And sadly, for now, my guests have to walk through that alleyway that is unattended to be able to walk out the city because we're still at the moment holding the entry through the restaurant due to safety concerns.
Okay. I'm going to give the manager your phone number and ask her to send the appropriate staff to, let's see where the lack of maintenance is going on to see if it's us or the busway. Mr. Brea.
Yes, Julio Brea, Director of Public Works. And just to bring you up to date on what we're doing regarding that flooding issue, that is county property. It is not city property, and we've been dealing with them for quite a while now, like you said, trying to get them to do something regarding that area. Now, as you know, when they're now starting to, they just got the notice to proceed to build the new BRT. Exactly. So all that area is there's going to be changes throughout that whole corridor. And what we've asked them to do is send us the drawings of what they're going to do in that area so we can just make sure that whatever they do there, that they add the proper, storm drains, etc. In the meantime, I'm going to send my crews out there and see if we can create some sort of like soil area or something that will help you out. But it's really a county property, it's a county right-of-way issue that we've been dealing with them for quite a while regarding that. So just to bring you up to date.
Can I answer the gentleman or not?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I took it upon myself to ask the questions as early as January of this year. And after calling 311 and going through all the hoops and everything, and talking directly and indirectly, the county tells me that, okay, while I understand that piece, that just that little section that it's not maintained, that weeds are growing like crazy and nobody has, managed it. It's also the alleyway, that particular piece. I understand that piece, it belongs to the county. The county already asserted me that piece belongs to Homestead. And I have partial communication with somebody from Public Works, I believe her name is Janet Gomez. And they're telling the city already, the city of Homestead already told me that piece, indirectly they have not said, hey, yeah, I can confirm this. But the particular area, while I'm talking about that area being unmaintained, I'm talking about the area that is actually accessible where it is quote unquote parking or alley, that particular space does belong to the city of Homestead. And that is in that
correct. And I don't know, we can look at maps all day long and see where the actual line is. But here's the issue: if the county is not maintaining their stormwater in their property and is running off to our property, it's their responsibility. It's not the person. It's not where the water is flowing to. Is they have to keep that water from going into another piece of land that they don't own.
I understand, but like I said, I've been there for 10 years. And for 10 years, my business, I have to shut down my business. When I get flooded, I have to close.
No, and
So the question is, who applies the pressure to the city?
We can.
Or things are just like getting
And
forgotten?
Mayor, we can
We're
follow
gonna
up.
take on the county's job and-
We can follow up with the county, and as Mr. Breyer said, we'll go out there and see if there's something we can do more expeditiously, but we'll absolutely
Correct.
follow up, and if there's another piece that belongs to Homestead, we'll see what, if anything, we can do. But we'll follow up for sure.
I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Give them your number when you leave the podium, and yeah.
Thank you
they'll
so
be
much,
out there.
Mayor, council members.
And just if I can add, please, thank you. I made that first initial inquiry to see what the exact BRT plans were for directly behind your business, because my idea was to see what their plans were, how they were going to develop that area, and then ask that we take that piece, because it's an odd piece that goes from county to city. So just so you know, we're waiting to see what those BRT plans are, because if we take any piece over and they have bigger plans or whatever the plan is for us to get this transportation that we also
I
need.
completely understand. And
Just for you to know,
no, of course, and the
didn't
city of
fall on
Homestead does
deaf
a great
ears.
job cleaning everywhere around our perimeter while we are serving food, and it's just not extremely appealing. My landlord does not make themselves responsible, and Chefs on the Run is not responsible for whoever it is, whether it was a county or the city or the city of Homestead, and for that matter, before you, Mayor, or this council itself, it's been unattended for a long time, and because we are pressure ourselves to do something, because we can't just keep our feet still while other places are opening. We know that outdoor patio is our growth in order to accommodate so people can come in and be comfortable, while we can put umbrellas and put music and make it semi-appealing. There's not much that we can do while we can't invest properly, so we can do it exactly right, so we can accommodate for all of you guys and our tourists. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Let me ask you real quick.
Yes, sir.
Did you happen to get a package for the CRA grant?
No, because I know that it closed. By the time that we wanted to do this, the CRA had closed, but we do plan to acquire for CRA for the. We believe that it starts in October or just before.
Well, that's the new budget year. So has that fund been depleted? Of course, in the coming weeks, we're going to have discussions about supplementing that fund from some of the federal monies we've received. And, I know we're here almost in August, but there's the potential to have some availability before August 1st as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Mayor. Council members, thank you so much for your time. Yes, ma'am.
Jodrick, I just want to say that what you're going through and what you've been going through for 10 years, that's unacceptable. And we will get you answers.
Well, I appreciate that, but I guess it wasn't until the moment that we were forced. I know that for years we've been asking about expansion and everything because we have become that important to the city. We know that we couldn't break the wall next to us. We know that we do not want to leave downtown Homestead, because if we don't fight for downtown Homestead, who else was going to come out, was going to stay here and represent
Agreed.
Homestead?
And you're here now, and you're telling us, I'm hearing about it now, and we will get you answers.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
All right. Did either of you wish to speak in general public comments? Again, give us your name and address for the record, and we've got you on a 3-minute timer.
Name's Pablo Hernandez. Address is, I'm speaking on behalf of my father, is 29411 Southwest 147th Avenue. So I have something written down real quick I'd like to read. So I'm here to represent the Southern Homestead Soccer Academy. It's a soccer club for youth. Our club was founded 8 years ago. We started with as little as 3 soccer teams. We've won several leagues and cups, titles across at a local and state level. As of today, we have 11 teams, travel teams, competitive teams, servicing over 120 kids. We are a nonprofit organization. We also provide an after-school program and a summer camp, which we started about 6 years ago, working with Children's Trust, supporting us. These 2 programs together service approximately over 150 local kids. Until today, we've never introduced ourselves to the city, and we've never asked the city for your support. Even though all of our kids and all of our families are from this city, and we represent this city when we travel to different events. We have, until today, we've played our home games in Kendall soccer fields. But as of August of this year, we are officially our own club here in Homestead. And we are seeing, what we need is to change our status with Parks and Recreations. We need some contract, or whether a yearly or season contract of priority with them. The reason why we're asking for this is because after athletics communications with Parks and Recreations, basically what they've told us is that we're just another group. We're just one more group. Given much needed space, field space, for in some cases even to teams from Kendall. And we want to change that. Right now, they assigned us one field that wasn't being used in sports complex. Doesn't have goals, and we can only use them Mondays and Wednesdays, forcing us to, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, to use a small patch of grass on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Robbie George Park. I apologize.
Okay. Thank you. Can you give us some background on the situation?
Yes, Mr. Carandi is here. He can give some background for sure. Thank you, Mayor.
How you guys doing? So, Mr. Lewis started reaching out to us about August of this year. As you all know, our main soccer fields are first come, first served to AYSO. They have a contract with us. They've had that since I've started here. So we gave Mr. Lewis different options. We've gone above and beyond to see what's available. We put him at Roby George, which is outfield, baseball fields. And we gave him that there. I went that night, introduced myself to him, to everybody there, welcomed him over. And then he continues to call either Willie or myself, which the way it works is we see what's available, what fields are available, and then we rent out according to availability, just as anybody else who would call. They want a home field, and unfortunately, we do not have the amount of soccer fields needed to suit him. We give him Monday and Wednesdays at the sports complex, which is a baseball field, and there are no soccer goals there, but we are just trying to help him out as much as possible. Besides that, we also help him on Saturdays. He calls us a day or two before saying that he scheduled a game, and we try to fit him in last moment as much as possible, scheduling staff last moment, and helping him out as much as possible as we always do.
Really, I guess the crux of this is that AYSO has a contract that gives them priority.
Correct.
We have a business relationship at this point with AYSO.
Correct. AYSO uses the new fields we've built in the back, and also the two fields we've built, the two softball fields in the front.
And, we all understand that we're working toward the goal of reconfiguring and enhancing what's available at the sports complex so that all the fields can be used every day so they won't have to rest. But I guess my ultimate question is do we practically have any other alternative to provide for any more soccer play for anyone at this point?
Short response to that, no. We've given him, like I said, Roby George, which is not being used, outfield grass. Dick Conley uses their football fields for year-round, flag football, as well as tackle. Homestead Little League, Homestead Youth Baseball, baseball fields year-round, both seasonal. And AYSO uses the soccer fields. Keysgate uses the softball fields after school as well for girls softball. And then on days, some days of the week, as of like right now, AYSO finished. We're doing aeration, weed control, and if not, those fields won't be playable, and you'll be playing in dirt pits.
And just so I understand, you're asking for a dedicated home field on a more regular basis. Is that a fair
Ideally, yes. What my father's telling me is that I've been to Robbie George fields, and the fields themselves, it's like he said, like the gentleman mentioned. And by the way, we're grateful for what we're getting because we that's what we have, right? But with that said, the fields are in no condition to make a soccer field or even training for that matter. We are making the best of it, but we have 11 teams. We have a travel club, and it's just the conditions of those out. I'm not sure in the baseball terms, but the outfields.
Yes.
At least in Robbie George are not playable.
El problema es que Sport Complex, ahora lo tenemos lunes y miércoles.
Correcto.
Pero porque martes y jueves se está rentando a unos equipos que vienen de Kendall.
Right. So, and what's happening is that Tuesdays and Thursdays, the reason why we're at Robbie George Park is that Tuesdays and Thursdays the fields are being rented to teams from Kendall. And what
Nuestros niños son todos de Homestead.
right, and our kids being from Homestead, we feel that there should be they should have some kind of priority in our parks as far as to gain access to those fields.
Necesitamos un estatus diferente para
we
que
will
tengamos prioridad también.
we would like to maybe something similar to the communication you guys have with AYSO, to where maybe we could get a field or even the sports complex, and we can have priority over those fields until we're off season, and then Kendall would have priority over those fields after that, which will be fine with us. But that's what we're trying to see.
Councilman Roth has a question.
No, actually, for staff, I heard all the fields, but what about Roscoe Warren Park? There's fields there as well.
We brought up Roscoe Warren as well. That's really recreational at the end of the day. It's suitable just to go out with your family and play. What they're looking for is
Competition.
Flat Bermuda grass. God forbid somebody twists their ankle up there in the bumpy hill or whatnot. It's not playable. There's no lights there as well. So right now they're getting that play now because of daylight savings.
Right.
And I'm not sure to answer the question about where the team's from, but they've been renting there for a while. I'm not sure if they're from Kendall or not. I don't ask that when they come. It's just if you come from wherever you're coming from and you ask me if this day available, we're going to give you that field. And then they also have an adult soccer league on Saturdays as well that brings a big crowd, and I'm pretty sure they are local as well.
And those are by contract, not.
No, sir. Those are rental. So they come and say, "Can I practice on July 25th?" And we look at the schedule and say yes. The only ones that have contract again is AYSO, Homestead Little League, Homestead Youth Baseball, and Dick Conley football.
And the fields to the east of Harris Field, those are rented out too?
Yes, sir. Those are rented to Dick Conley. So Dick Conley does football, tackle, and then on their off season they do flag football.
Gotcha.
And their numbers are growing rapidly as well.
Right. And this is, if I may, this has been a topic ever since I've been sitting up here, that we have a lack of soccer fields. So as we begin the process of evolving the baseball stadium park, I think we really need to, and it can be monetized as well. There have been leagues that have probably spoken to all of us that want to privatize fields and run their own businesses off of those fields. The problem is they can't find the land to do that inside the city limits. So it's definitely something to consider. I don't know how we help you all short term, because there are contracts in existence, and it sounds like we could almost start a bidding process for the usage of the fields, which again helps the city and monetize some of those assets. So I think we really need to consider as we evolve the plans for the baseball stadium. Thank you, Mayor.
No question. Yeah, from bigger picture. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. There's a huge demand for soccer in this community, and all of us have had conversations with various leagues and organizations asking for fields. And I think it's very important for us to be responsive to the needs of our community and not keep saying we don't have the space, we don't have the fields, but we need to put something in place to be able to accommodate. My question is, at Roby George Park, though that's the softball, baseball type field. Have we considered converting that to soccer? Nobody plays softball over there in years. So it's just sitting there dormant, underutilized. Have we considered transforming that to soccer where the demand is? Because softball isn't it.
We have not. Before Mr. Lewis came, before August, before COVID, there was a travel baseball team practicing there. Because again, some people might come and say, hey, can we use Harris or JD? They're used most of the year, so some people have rented at Roby George in the past.
That's probably far and few between. I would like to propose we look at converting that to a soccer field because it is underutilized for softball and baseball. You may have one league coming there to rent it sporadically, but soccer is the demand. We need to respond to the demand.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, Councilwoman. Sure.
I agree 100% with that, and also we need to look at the pricing. There's a huge disparity between what we are charging our soccer teams to play at these soccer fields. In fact, they would actually go and rent the outfields at the baseball parks to pay a comparative price. I mean, we're talking $60 an hour for soccer field rental versus $12 an hour for baseball.
Green space is $11.25. It's nonprofit plus lights, but they're not paying for lights at
For
the moment.
baseball?
Yes.
And then soccer?
Off the bat, I'm not sure, but we rent them green space, so which is
It's
comparable.
considerably more. During my research, beginning back in August when he came to me initially, looking for a solution to the problem, and when I asked for a reason, a logical explanation as to why there's such a large difference in the charge, I'm expecting maybe lining or water, irrigation, etc. That's not the case. It's just how it's always been. So we need to meet the demands of our community and encourage participation in the soccer sport and be fair with what we charge. Thank you.
Well, and it almost indicates to me that some people aren't being charged enough, and that's what I talk about when we've got to find those efficiencies and the economies in our budgeting. Go ahead.
Sí, en Roscoe Warren Park no se utilizaba, casi nunca se utilizó como soccer, aunque era un parque de soccer, porque se cobraba $90 el juego.
Roscoe Warren Park used to not be used for soccer at all before because it was a $90 per game.
Nunca nadie lo usó.
No one ever used it.
I'm not sure.
But we don't use Roscoe at all for soccer, correct?
No, it's not playable for soccer. That's just if you want to go out with your family and just have your little passing around and whatnot.
No, ahora, pero cuando se hizo, era para soccer.
And I can get back with you guys on the pricing.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, they've heard loud and clear, I think, from council that we need to find some solutions to accommodate play for local kids and then whoever else wants to play, you know, and whether that rate needs to come down or the other rates need to go up. You really shed some light on multiple issues.
Sure.
And Mayor, what we can do a couple of things because, as you know, we've been looking at the potential costs for what we were looking at as phase one of the stadium redevelopment. And the very beginning phase included soccer fields that could be played year-round because they would be artificial turf. We can come back with those numbers. We can include it as part of our discussion as we go through the budget. We can also look at the conversion from Roby George, as you suggested, Vice Mayor, and what that would cost, because obviously that type of field would be much more expensive. And we'll also look at the pricing differences, and we'll come back to you with that information and potential solutions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Anyone else in the chamber wishing to make a public comment? Is there anyone online?
Yes. We have Ramiro Orta.
One more time, Mr. Orta. Go ahead.
Hey, Mayor. Long time no speak. Romero Orta, 2040 Southeast 19th Street. Oh my God, this is awesome. I love the segue because this is exactly why I came to council today, to bring the awareness of lack of activities for our youth, more specifically for our female youth. I mean, besides soccer, what other sport is there in Homestead that entertains just females? I mean, there is basketball, but people consider the that gym in Florida City, but in the city of Homestead. There's no other female-only sport besides soccer, and now I know why. I mean, I am so glad that this conversation came up between Parks and Rec and certain other leagues that are having a very hard time renting these fields. And it's obvious. It's favoritism, okay? Mr. Roth brought up a great solution. Let's have a bidding process. But Mr. Roth, let me stop you there. You see, a couple of years ago, I actually entertained a bidding process with Pedro and your Parks and Rec. I had everything ready to go. I went to the meeting. I sat down. Pedro sat down. He literally got up and told me, "Don't waste my time," and he walked out. If that's a fair bidding process, you guys got some serious problems because it's favoritism. Now I know why there is no funds in Parks and Rec, because you guys don't charge these leagues enough. That's why there's other leagues like softball, which Ms. Fairclough, I'm kind of hurt that you said that there is no need in softball. On the contrary, I don't know what parks you go to, but the parks that I go to, there's a big demand in softball. The only thing we don't have is we don't have equipment because there's no funding. We're not asking for fields. We're just asking for assistance to help these girls, entertain the basics of softball. Now, I'm kind of, bothered by the fact that how Parks and Rec said that they have a firm relationship with Dick Conley, with AYSO, and some other parks. And it's funny because those are the only parks, the only leagues they entertain. And I say this from experience because I went through the bidding process, and those are the only ones they entertain for years now. I think we need to, open up and let other organizations come entertain our kids, because these monopolizations that you guys constantly entertain every year, it's not working out. Not everyone likes soccer. All right, give them variety. That's all we ask. Real quick, guys, before my timer's up, it's election season. I want to wish every candidate that has, enlisted to run again. I wish you guys luck. I also welcome all of you to my platform. If you guys want to amplify your
Thank you, Ramiro. Appreciate your comments tonight. All right. I think that concludes public comments. Anything further? Anything else from the city manager?
No, thank you, Mayor. Nothing tonight.
Mr. Pearl? All right. Councilwoman Avila?
This is under our agenda items? Thank you. So I want to say that I'm looking forward to attending the Florida League of Cities, but not without a pit stop first in Naples in their downtown, just for some further research and inspiration on what thriving downtowns are. So I look forward to bringing back some tidbits on how that goes. And I invite you all to join me just for an afternoon to walk around and see how they did their landscape and what their businesses look like, and especially it being during the week, I think it'll be interesting to see the excitement in their downtown. Secondly, I'd like to make a report under Military Affairs Committee. I am the liaison between us and the South State Chamber of Commerce Military Affairs Committee, and they are working to collectively develop a construct that produces results benefiting the soldiers, the sailors, the airmen, the Marines, and their families. And the committee recognizes that communication is the key for success, and as such, we are compiling a condensed contact tool for the Homestead Air Reserve Base leadership to utilize when a unique need arises. And this communication tool is meant to expedite solutions for maximum results, identifying the individual with the partnership and matched to a mission as it relates to resources currently being available within our city. So essentially further bridging the gap between government and our robust civic sector. So just wanted to give you an update as that relates. Furthermore, as you may recall, soon after my appointment to council, I presented a resolution which was passed supporting the Military Affairs Committee's initiative to pursue solutions to securing reliable housing for the service members and their families. They sacrifice so much for our community, and I'm happy to report that they have spearheaded a platform that does connect the family members, the families that are relocating here with willing landlords to provide military benefits and a real landlord protection option for those deserving service members and a win-win solution. So I want to thank you, council members, for participating in that initiative and approving it and moving it forward. And as we gear up for school, I am partnering with multiple local nonprofits that are providing back-to-school events in various locations around the city. So I encourage you to check out my social media platforms so that you can be connected and get some school supplies. That's it for now. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Roth? Your turn. You're up.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Deeply thank you. Councilwoman Bailey.
I'm sorry, I do have a few things. Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned last month, speaking of sports, our local Build Your Own Legacy basketball mentoring program won state champions, and I just wanted to thank everybody that helped me. The coach wanted to take the team to Orlando for the championship, and they got to play against teams from all over the world. The boys had an amazing time. You can check out my social media for very cool pictures of them with Homestead written on the back of their shirts. So thank you again to everybody that helped make that come true for this team. This Saturday, the 24th, from 12 to 5, the Homestead Center for the Arts is hosting the first annual Art and Artisan Show at Events Banquet Hall. It looks like some very amazing local businesses that are going to be out there. So please try and stop by, support local, support the arts. Events Banquet Hall is at 144 Northeast 8th Street. Free admission, lots of parking, no excuses. Also on Saturday, July 24th at 1 p.m., the Hue Collective is hosting an interesting event at the Cybrarium. They are hosting an event called Stop the Bleed, and it will be a way to teach our residents or anyone that comes how to manage gunshot wounds and be able to administer basic life-saving techniques like CPR. And that is all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I think next up is Councilman Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of items tonight. First, in your council packet under tab 22, I've requested that we generate a resolution in support of placing a fire rescue unit at the Villages of Homestead fire station. For years, that facility was manned just by a ladder station. And I've also attached a copy of the Miami-Dade County study, which they have chosen not to look at in creating future assignments for rescue units. So currently, there's not a unit at the station. However, they plan on placing a temporary rescue unit at that station. But once they get done building a new Dolphin station, they were going to relocate that fire rescue unit, and we would be without a fire rescue again. And if you look at the study itself, it shows that it led the categories in all of the items that needed to be supported, and ultimately ranked #1 for needing of a rescue unit. So I've requested that we generate this resolution, and there will be another one coming in the future as well, requesting a second fire rescue unit for Station 16, which serves Greater Homestead and Florida City as well. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Pearl for reading of the resolution.
Thank you, Councilman Fletcher. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, urging the Miami-Dade County Fire Rescue Departments add a rescue transport unit at Fire Station 66 located at 3100 Southeast 8th Street in fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Councilman Roth, move it? No, we do have to.
Do we need to vote on that?
If someone wants to move
I
it.
need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll move it.
I moved by Councilman Fletcher, seconded by Councilman Roth. There's nothing further. Roll call.
Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Councilman Roth? Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Fletcher?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
And one final item, the city of Homestead in the past has offered environmentally sensitive stuff disposal on a weekend on occasion. And I haven't seen one of those happen in quite some time. You know, for folks that have old paints and gasoline and things of that nature that they need to get rid of. Can we look at seeing when that might be possible again?
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Fletcher. Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to commend Carlos and his team for the CDB Annual Action Plan, and thank you for the continued commitment to incorporate funding for STEM in our community. That has been something I've been championing for several years, and it's very heartening to see that we continue to fund that program. Hot off the press, we have 2 schools that were just designated STEM schools at South Dade Senior High School and Masted Homestead. We just received the report 2 days ago, and I was happy to see 2 of our Homestead schools with that very prestigious designation of being a STEM certified school. So thank you for the commitment to STEM. Additionally, annually we provide shoes for our students for back to school. Last year we provided laptops to help with the online platforms, but this year we're moving back to shoes with our Best Foot Forward program. We will be providing Nike gift cards to our students in the community to help them put their best foot forward for back to school. So if there are any businesses or entities or individuals that would like to donate Nike gift cards to this campaign, we greatly appreciate it. The Mayor's Youth Council, as well as the Education Committee, will be championing this effort. So if anyone would like to support and partner, please let me know. We will be distributing those, I believe, August 6th. But we will be communicating that to the community so that the parents can sign up their students for the shoes. First come, first serve, based on the students that apply in that order. And finally, when I referenced that there was not a need or a demand for softball, I was referencing at that particular field because I never see anyone renting that field for softball. Because I love to look at the metrics and the data, can you provide us with a report within the last year of how many organizations have rented Ruby George Park for softball or baseball?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I think it would be very clear and evident that the demand for softball at that particular field is not the issue. Yes.
What Alex mentioned is we'll do it from the year before COVID.
Okay, perfect. Right, because it makes more sense. Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate that. All right, my first item tonight is car number 3286, and this comes to us at the request of many of the other mayors of our community through the Miami-Dade League of Cities, which, if you don't know, the current president is our own Joe Corradino, who essentially serving 2 years, prior term, and his term in his own right, and doing a really bang-up job. But the leaders of other communities and through the League of Cities have asked us to join, and it appears that nearly all of the 34 municipalities in this county, the goal is for them to speak with one voice, which is a rarity for Miami-Dade County, to speak with one united voice on behalf of all the people of Miami-Dade County to the White House. Its actions with respect to the situation in Cuba. The resolution is in front of us, and I'll ask Mr. Pearl to read it by title.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, urging President Joseph R. Biden Jr. and the Biden administration to condemn Cuban government's handling of the protests and support the Cuban people in their struggle for freedom and basic needs by various avenues, including by maintaining and strengthening economic sanctions, by publicly denouncing the Cuban dictatorship for its violence against the Cuban people, by recognizing the pro-democracy movement's efforts on behalf of democracy, by using all available technology to allow the free flow of information in and out of Cuba, by diplomatic intervention, and by coordinating an international effort for humanitarian aid and support toward a democratic transition, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl. Any questions or comments from council? Councilwoman Avila.
Thank you, Mayor. I was very happy to see this resolution in the agenda. In fact, I actually was going to present a similar one, and then when I saw that you had it, I did not submit it. How do you feel about this resolution? You're presenting it as though this was coming at the request of another body. How are you feeling about this?
I support the resolution. I mean, I wouldn't have brought it without that. I mean, we've been asked as mayors, and the mayors have all joined together and speaking with one voice.
Thank you for stating that for the record. And I approve this resolution as well. Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion for approval? We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second? Second by Councilwoman Bailey. Is there any further discussion? Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilman Fletcher? Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is one of the add-ons with Mr. Pearl. This is the discussion on instructing and authorizing the manager to issue a public comment to the Turnpike Authority.
Yes, that was the addition that you wanted on for your business, yes.
Yeah.
As part of public comments to the public workshop that they had, or the public hearing that FDOT had yesterday.
Just a clear message and authorization that we enter our public comment opposing the proposed flyover in Florida City and supporting the Lucie Street interchange and the widening of the turnpike between Campbell and Lucie Street.
What we could do, Mayor, we can send to the mayor and council the letter that we had drafted, and if you approve of it, we can include that as part of public comments. There's a window up until July 30th within which we can comment.
Right, when the manager refers to public comments, that is the public comment deadline with respect to that turnpike plan, the hearing. That's right, a couple of you, or I think at least three of you were there either virtually or in person last night and heard the comments. And, you know, we need to officially speak, and as well as through our other elected officials up the line that all are, again, speaking with one voice. So,
Mr. Mayor,
looks like you've got the consensus. We'll certainly, yeah.
No, I was just going to ask for a motion authorizing Kate to send the letter on behalf of the council, because we won't meet again before that public window closes. So if we can just get an authorization for the manager
All right, we have a motion moved by Councilman Fletcher, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And last but not least, we have got a presentation and a discussion on potential beautification, landscaping improvements to English Avenue. Quite frankly, this grew out of my frustration and our acceptance that English Avenue is going to be the new entrance from Campbell Drive to our City Hall complex, to the Washington Avenue Commercial District, as opposed to Washington Avenue. And, you know, you stop and you look and you realize improvements that need to be made. So I had inquired a few months ago of staff, and they have a presentation for us and a proposal for our discussion for a capital improvement project to start dressing up the entrance into the east side of downtown. So with that, Madam
Thank
Manager.
you, Mayor. Julio?
Yes, Mayor. As you stated, Mayor, the English Avenue is now going to become one of the preferred corridors reaching City Hall. And as such, in response to your request, we looked at that corridor to see what kind of improvements we could do to the area to basically beautify the whole way coming in from Campbell Drive, which is right now is just with grass, but the FDOT is moving forward with a beautification, also landscape plan for all of Campbell. So we want to kind of like continue that same type of view going all the way towards the City Hall Plaza, basically, which is where that road ends up. So what we did is, looking at the first slide here, this is just the existing conditions. And although it's kind of hard to see here, but if you drive down that road, there's a lot of unimproved asphalt areas along both sides of the roadway, and which are right-of-ways, so we could convert those to green space, and that's the idea behind this, is make it green space and also add plantings to match what we're doing throughout the city, basically the same type of plants that we're putting throughout the city, and again, try to maximize all the corridor as much as possible, right, in terms of what we do, the improvements. Some of the improvements, just to go into some details, if I'm going to go to the next slide here. Oops, let me go back. How do I go back? Okay, so it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but if you look at the handouts that we gave you, what you see in green is the areas that we're going to improve. Some of those include the existing drive-throughs that the post office had on both sides that are now no longer in service. Those are going to be removed completely, all the asphalt, and replaced with planted green space and landscaped areas throughout. And also, starting at the corridor, there will be a new sign that basically, a way sign that points towards City Hall, allowing anybody that's in the traffic on Campbell Drive to know how to get to City Hall from Campbell. So the idea is to, again, improve those areas and also build them in a way so that it discourages vehicles from parking on them and, basically damaging the green space. Some of those areas, there's some areas that are already green spaces, but what happens now, people park there and basically it looks run down, not well maintained. So the idea is to put shrubs and type of plantings that will discourage people from parking there, and actually will make it almost impossible for them to park there unless they're going to park on top of trees. So that's basically the concept. If you look at the last slide, these are just some renderings that we had our maintenance company put together for us in terms of what kind of plantings we could do in these areas that would kind of match what we're doing elsewhere. It's low shrubs with some trees in some areas to give it that, that look of, color, and at the same time some vertical aspects to the planting. So that's our plan. Doing some estimate, cost estimates for the whole project. We're looking at approximately $76,000 in terms of capital improvements in that area. That would include all the work from scraping of the asphalt, bringing in new sod, whatever type of materials needed, plus also the planting materials as well. And projecting towards the future in terms of maintenance of this area, we're looking at approximately $12,000 a year in costs of maintenance for this particular corridor. So with that, if there's any questions.
Let me ask you, right now, we're mowing the rights-of-way, so it's not like we're spending zero right now. There is some level of expense.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I draw the attention to the potential rendering here, how we're kind of shielding out a shear wall of the Palms Plaza building, the unsightly dumpsters. If you go back a slide, where we're kind of ringing and shielding off the ocean of asphalt at the Miami-Dade parking lot, where visually it will be a much nicer entrance into this civic complex and the Washington Avenue corridor. And I want to add that, some of you may know I have this little habit of wandering in unannounced at given times of the day into the manager's side of the building. And I happened into a meeting they were having the other day about some specialized signage. And I hope, that this will be programmed into that, and we'll have that presentation really soon as part of this being the nucleus or ground zero of that sign aesthetic moving outward throughout the entire city. So I think, I hope that you all can support this as having it put into the capital improvement budget as an initial project here as we go forward. Thank you, Councilman Roth. Are you good? Thank you. Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you. I am very, very, very happy to see this. Not only is it going to be such an improvement for the students that are going to Miami-Dade, but it has been bothering me for a very long time. And it is still such a wonderful thing to drive down Washington Avenue and still remember where it came from and what it looks like now. So I'm very, very happy to see this. Visitors to City Hall, what an embarrassment. That is now the road that most of our visitors, you know, coming to City Hall are taking. So I am very much looking forward to seeing this. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, staff, again.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Absolutely so. Councilman Fletcher.
Yeah, one thing, I understand, the funding of $79,000, but I want to think outside the box a little bit. Looking at the renderings, you're showing some mulch here. And in the past, when we've put mulch and bushes and medians, it all ends up out on the roadways. So, one of the options we had, that we looked at when we went to Weston, if you remember that mulch that was matted down. Yeah, so let's make sure we're looking at that as well. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I've got some nursery guys in mind that need to kick in a few trees for this as well. Speaking of thinking outside the box, yes, Councilwoman.
Sorry, I forgot one thing. We need some more garbage cans on Washington Avenue, especially in front of the ice cream place.
Right here on
Michoacana, yes, and right here in the plaza. It is
We'll
going
take
to
care of it.
make the job for the cleanup crew so much easier. If anybody ever drives out, like I do sometimes to open up the school, the difference between what happens early in the morning and when those street sweepers come through is crazy. And every single day, the garbage cans are completely overflowed. So I think that would be a cost saver in the long run to look at putting a few extra ones in there.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, so I think you've got your consensus from council to move forward with putting that in the budget. And if there's nothing further, I will happily entertain a motion to adjourn. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, no opposed. Thank you all. Good night.